the No Limiter Podcast, where we interview top business owners, entrepreneurs, and creators in every industry to help you set record-breaking months. Here's your host of the No Limiter Podcast, Regina Woodard.
Welcome to the No Limiter Podcast, where we talk about no limit. No limit on your job, no limit on your goals, no limit for anything that you do in life. Today's journey and today's person, we're going to talk to Big Business. He is located in Florida.
FLA. Yes, sir, indeed.
Florida, the good state of Florida. But today's topic is going to be mental clarity. Now, what does that mean? That means getting your mindset, getting your mind right. Is your mind right for 2022? Did you set your goals at the end of the year to get ready for 2022? Did you put it on paper? Did you put it in your phone? Did you put it on a sheet of paper to put it on your wall so that you can walk by it every day? Did you put a sticky in your car that you drive in every day to remind you of your goals? Do you have mental clarity? Welcome, Big Business, to the podcast, No Limit Podcast. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Wonderful. Thank you for the invite.
Yes. So let's talk. Let's just get into it. But I want to know, how was your week?
The week, honestly, was challenging from the standpoint of, it's the temperatures going up and down here in Florida. One day it's 80 degrees. And at night, it can be literally 40 degrees. So preparing for the temperature changes, and it's cold and flu season in January. So I had a little bit of a cough earlier in the week. So I made sure I made the adjustments, got my vitamins and things of that nature to power through the week. So going into this 3-day weekend, I'm feeling pretty good. But through the week, I just kind of had to battle through the adversity to get to this point today. So we're still here.
So the mental clarity is our subject today. But, you just said one key thing. You said you had to get your body right, because as we know, we have COVID out there, right? So Absolutely. Not only do we have to protect ourselves with the mask, whether a person wants to get their shots, that's on them, but just protecting yourself. So, but you had to get your mind right in order to protect your immune system, right?
Of course. And not enough people really emphasize that enough in their personal lives. When we think about self-care, that is directly connected to the topic of mental clarity. You have to have an environment that you create for yourself to be mentally clear. What do I mean? For example, what time do you take phone calls? Is there a time period where you just say, I'm not taking phone calls to establish a certain mindset for the day? For me, I don't take calls between 7 and 7:30 because I know that's right before I have to get myself in the car and get on my day. If I take a phone call during that time frame, what ends up happening is I end up running later. I end up getting distracted. My list for the day in terms of prioritization gets altered. So I have to protect that time for my mental clarity.
So basically you have a schedule. You get when you have a schedule, you'll be able to put everything together mentally. No matter you have a certain time you wake up, you have a certain time you eat breakfast. You have a certain time you want to take phone calls. I remember this week, we talked a couple of times, and it seemed like it was at the same time you called me. It was 7:45, 7:46. I saw that you were calling me. And I am really seeing now your pattern, because if you have that certain time where you're not taking calls, you're mentally preparing for the day, right?
Absolutely.
For that morning. But you called me at the same time. A lot of people don't know this, but we are cousins. So I just wanted to, put that out there. But mentally preparing is preparing for your day, whether it's you not taking phone calls during a certain time, you getting your day started. But let's break it down. I want to know, how did you get ready for your 2022 with your goals, being mentally prepared?
Well, and that's a deep question. And I'll break it down. And honestly, it's very valuable. So I want people to share this to other people because the knowledge needs to get to people about how to really accomplish their goals, because you know how we are. We set little goals for ourselves at the beginning of the year. You see at the gym, they discount the rates, but they know by the summertime, many of these people aren't going to continue to actually have that as a habit. They're going to start to taper off, but they don't have a structure for success. So when I say a structure for success, sometimes saying what I'm not going to do is as important as saying what you are going to do. Like you have to have replacement behaviors. So for example, if I say, some people may have a weakness like, okay, I like fast food after a hard day, and they pass by countless restaurants. Well, what's your replacement behavior? You have to make it in your schedule that you choose a route to alternate path to get to something that's more suitable. So for example, and sometimes it might just be at the gas station, for example, like, you need gas. You can stop by the gas station. You could grab a coffee. You could grab something that's not as bad for you. Get in, get out, instead of, waiting in a line. But also, I need gas there. I could grab an apple out of there. That's healthy. Apple, gas, that's the replacement behavior instead of waiting in the Taco Bell line.
So you're saying basically change your route or change your mindset, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because that contributes to what you are thinking about, honestly. Like the fuel that we put in our body and the fuel we put in our mind really affects our mental clarity. So you would say, okay, well, how do you mean? Well, exactly. So I love to walk in the morning because it gets my heart rate up. It also gets me focused on what's in front of me instead of what's behind me. And that might be a little bit deeper than people really understand. The act of moving forward makes you feel better about your day, regardless. If you are actively walking forward, it's very difficult to be depressed about what your situation you're sitting in currently. The people, when they get depressed, discouraged, they're usually in a stagnant state. They're not moving forward. They're not clear. They're sedentary. When you're walking and moving, you feel alive. You feel connected to things. You start to observe things around you. The ducks playing in the pond. You appreciate the breeze. All these different things. You're becoming connected to the things that are around you, and you're becoming subconsciously mentally clear.
So basically, you're saying that persons should be exercising, getting their mind, conditioning their mind first thing in the morning, correct?
Sure.
In order to get it going. So is there statistics out there saying that the best time for you to work out or the best time to exercise in the morning instead of at night? Because, I have coworkers and friends that choose to work out at night. And, in my mind, for years, it didn't matter to me whether I worked out at night or in the morning. Right. But I did notice that when I work out at night, my body is tired. Right. And then I've talked myself out of it. But if I do it first thing in the morning, I've conditioned my mind.
Sure. And I think there's benefits to both. And you say, well, what do you mean? Because sometimes people on the front end of the day, right? So, the word breakfast, if you break it down, it's broken down into break fast. People have this idea sometimes that you have to have.
I like that. Break fast. Breakfast, break fast. Break fast. I never thought of that.
Yeah, break fast. So you're not supposed to start your day with a lot of different things you're putting in your body because you're going to run slower. It's a fast break. Maybe a cup of cereal, some cereal, orange juice, drink a lot of water. Your body's been resting for 7 hours. It has toxins and things of that nature have been built up. You got to flush that stuff out and get flowing and get moving. So that fast break, we're over here loading ourselves up on pastries and different things for that sugar rush, but then you have that crash later. So if you get your body activated and acclimated to moving in the morning, you just stay in that perpetual state of just operating smoothly because you just had a fast.
So what does your breakfast look like? What is your breakfast? What do you eat for breakfast? What kind of fuel do you put in your body?
For me, first 3 hours, it's just water, maybe some coffee and an apple, and I'm gone. First 3 hours, that's all it is, because I'm flushing out the negative. I'm taking in what I would need, of course, water, 70% of our body, and above 70% of our body is water. So I'm flushing out the toxins. Think about a toilet. You flush that toilet, it's clear, things can flow out. You know what I mean? People, when they have artery blockage and stuff of that nature, blood clots, it's because the blood can't flow. Water helps the blood flow. So
you're treating our body like the toilet, right? When you flush the toilet, because I know when every time I flush the toilet, I'm looking back just to make sure it goes down. And no matter where I use the bathroom, doesn't matter if I'm at home or at work, at a restaurant or someone's house, I'm looking at the toilet to make sure that the water just continues to flow and not overflow.
Absolutely. And the body, it'll give you signs. You just have to be paying attention to them. I mean, like when your urine is clear, mentally, you're in a space to where that's showing you most of the toxins that have been removed from your body. If you have, some discoloration, some kind of stress, something going on in your body, you're not operating at peak level. You're not operating clearly, and your body's telling you that. So in the morning, if you don't actually, that should be a natural process. And if you don't have that process when you wake up within the first 2 hours, that means somewhere in your body, there's congestion. Yeah. Somewhere there is congestion in your body, and it could affect your brain and your mental clarity as well.
A lot of people take for granted, when you wake up in the morning, you need to drink water. You need to go to the bathroom. You need to flush your system. Just flushing your system, when you actually mental clarity, flushing your mind, getting your mind right for the day, is the same thing what your body is doing automatically. It's just that your body is supposed to move. Your body automatically moves as long as you take care of it. So with the mental, right, you're saying that as long as you take care of your mental, that's going to automatically move, right?
Right. And again, what happens is the mental clarity is affected by that and also external factors. So, for example,
what do you mean external factors?
External factors like distractions. So we work our entire lives, hopefully, to have a place where we can call it our own. And this kind of goes into like financial preparation and decision making and prioritizing. If I don't prioritize owning my own home, or I don't prioritize having a safe space, my mental clarity is going to be affected. We've all lived with roommates. You hear the noise next door. You hear the noise from your roommate because they're playing music loud. It affects your ability to think clearly. So we have to prioritize financial responsibility in order to preserve and protect our mental clarity.
I was going to question you when you said, owning your own home, because everybody doesn't have that goal to own their own home. But you said having that mental space. So if you don't have your own home, that's okay. Long as you have that mental space, it doesn't matter whether you live with your mother, your father, your roommate, whoever, but having that mental space is getting your mind right.
Right. You want to dive into that a little bit deeper?
No, you know what? I don't know are they ready for that? Go ahead. Go.
I'm not sure.
Are they ready? Are they ready for that?
I think they need to understand that you have to protect your energy for mental clarity. So that's something that we can continue. But again, sometimes people are plugged into your energy and you may not be aware of it because you allow them access and don't have protected time for your mental clarity and your mental space.
When I go to work in the morning, when I get up and I start preparing my day and I'm listening to all the things, I have to do, I'm actually, I got my time, I work out. And then also I have a morning meetup that I get on, a Zoom call with entrepreneurs across the world. And I prepare for that call. Nice. I get up, I work out, I shower, whether I'm getting on my Peloton or getting on my treadmill. And then I prepare for the morning meetup call while I'm getting dressed. And then I listen to it in my ride to work. And the energy on the call is so awesome because we start off with a 15-minute book call. Where we're talking about the book that we have read for the night. And the energy that is on the call, I feed off that energy. That helps me prepare for my day. And so when I get to work, I have that hour or 45 minutes I sit at my desk where I'm not talking to anybody.
Sure.
I'm getting myself mentally prepared for the day.
Sure.
Looking at my CRM, looking at my appointments, right? But mentally. And basically, I'm so focused where people know now, my coworkers or even my bosses, that's my space. That's my time. Because when I get there, I'm not faced toward them. I'm faced to my computer.
Sure.
So, but that's just my safe space. But you go ahead and dive in.
Well, again, and I don't want to just speak, because see, when you're speaking to people who, there may be some viewers who have families. And one of the things about families is, especially if you're raising smaller children or teenagers, what happens is there's always somebody coming in with an emergency, with a problem, with needing assistance. And one of the places that, unfortunately, the only place they have some type of safety is in the bathroom. So if you're in that situation, you have to be extremely intentional when you're in the bathroom. Like, for example, I know part of my procedure, depending on what's going on for the day, in that shower, people know generally, okay, they're in the shower, they're naked. I really can't ask them to do something right now because they're not in a position to do so. So if you have an opportunity to say, okay, maybe I want to listen to some inspirational or motivational content, do that. Or if you're trying to prepare your mind for a task or a presentation, record what you are trying to present that day and replay it in the shower, replay it in the car. So you're preparing yourself mentally through repetition, through hearing what you're actually going to have to say. Being strategic like that in those circumstances, you're really maximizing your opportunity to be great when you actually have to be clear mentally.
Are you in the market for a new or used car? Whether you're in the Metro Detroit area or anywhere in the U.S., call or text me at 248-301-0461. And I go to work on getting you the best deal possible. That's right, we're delivered anywhere in the U.S. Call or text me at 248-301-0461. What would be the process for a person to prepare for clarity, for their mental clarity? You know, we're going to have some viewers that's going to come across, they're going to come across the YouTube channel, or just going to come across the podcast. And they're going to say, well, how do I do that? I'm not prepared now. I know where I want to go, but I just don't know how I'm going to get there mentally. I have all these distractions. How do you prepare?
My process might be different than other people's process. One thing, people call it different things. Some people, say prayer, meditation. For me, I would simplify it. I have notes and signs everywhere. And I try to start my day in a certain amount of quiet space. That's important for me for the first 5 minutes. I need the first 5 minutes of my day to be quiet. That way I can kind of make a self-checkup, self-assessment. Is there anything ailing in my body? Is anything hurt? Okay, no, checklist. Okay, no, my knees straight. Am I hungry? Am I thirsty? Do I need to go to the bathroom? Like, I need to be able to 5 minutes to myself. Because if I don't have that 5 minutes, I might be ignoring something my body's trying to tell me before I start going. 5 minutes to yourself in quiet. Make a self-assessment, self-check. That's one way I start. And then it kind of depends on what my assessment is. If my body's telling me that it's hurting, I will go to study mode. So that might mean my body's telling me you might need to stay in this bedroom. So I'll grab the phone, I'll grab the computer, I'll put on certain things that will feed my mind. And depending on what I'm being, told, I might start working from the bed for 30 minutes. I'm working in bed, my body's resting, but my mind's starting to move.
So how do you stay motivated? What do you do to stay motivated to make sure your mental clarity is right or correct the entire year? Because we go back to, everybody sets their goals, right? And those goals or those New Year's resolutions, they last 30 days. They last 2 months. You know, that's why we talked about in the beginning of the podcast is that, you know, we had Planet Fitness. Oh, they have Dennis Rodman and another gentleman. They have $11 a month. Oh, it's $11 a month for Planet Fitness until January 21st. Then they push that. And every time you turn around, it's that on TV. They live streaming it. You know, they're on this station from that station, and even on the radio. You know, the mindset is like right now. Give us some advice on that, please.
They know statistically, most people, if I can secure that money for the year up front, statistically, most people are going to fall off of that regimen in the first 3 to 4 months. They know that because life happens. Because ultimately what has happened is this. Really think about it. The person who's dedicated to waking up 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, that's the person who's going to go to the gym all the time. That's not the consumer that they're actually targeting. They're targeting the consumer who feels like they need to make a change and don't really necessarily know how. But if it's only this amount of money, that's too cheap to turn down because I know I really should do something about this. So what they're taking advantage of is the impulse buy. They're making the price so low that it's like, come on, man, if you ain't gonna do nothing about your life for $11, you don't care about yourself. Like, and then they throw the stars who are, you know, in the commercial as well. So now you're getting some notoriety. This person's going to the gym. If you go to the gym, you may see somebody who might be powerful, influential, or even famous because it's only $11. Come on in and you'll be a better person when you leave. But it's really not about going to the gym. You can go to the gym all you want. It's what you do in the gym when you get there. See, a lot of people go to church, but that don't mean they thought life is good. It's just that's one day a week.
Wait a minute, you're gonna compare the gym to church, big business.
But this is what I'll say. This is why I made that comparison. Because you can go to church and not receive the message and absorb it and use it. You could go to the gym and not use the equipment. And I've seen it. You know, the people who over there posing for pictures, holding up the camera from the right angle so they don't look fat, talking about they in the gym. You over here on the camera, you posing, trying to make TikTok videos like you're trying to get yourself in order, not showing the lower half of your body, which you need to be working on in the gym. You know these people are doing these things. So again, you can fake the role. You can fake like you going to church and changing your life. But again, you might just be people watching. You might be trying to see, because this might be the famous church to go to in the town. This is where all the big wigs go. That's where they got the big church. Look, at the end of the day, you have to still do the work. And until you change your mindset, a lot of this stuff about mental clarity is great, but until you almost get frustrated enough to do something about it, that's when you're really operating in the mental clarity.
So let me ask you this question. Why do you think that you're the person to give people advice on having mental clarity? Well,
again, I say...
Because I can give it. Listen, because I can give it, right? But that's not my lane. You know, I try to stay in my lane, you know. So what makes you think that someone's going to listen to you and you can give them mental clarity?
I'm going to tell you like this.
I'm listening.
Most of the time, people will listen to strangers before they listen to people they know. So to your viewers, I'm a stranger. I don't have something I'm trying to get from the persons who are viewing. So if it resonates with them, if you got to take the meat, spit out the bones. So if part of what I'm saying resonates and you can use that, use the part that you hear. In terms of qualifications, my thing is this: if it makes sense, use it. If it don't, discard it. But I know from studying other people, books, audio, podcasts, different things from qualified people who study these things, doctors, psychologists. Again, I don't necessarily credit everyone with what I'm saying. I know that when you're writing papers in college, you start to cite people for what they've contributed. but we're having dialogue. So I'm not going to necessarily say the source of everything I'm saying. But best believe I'm not just pontificating out here. I do my research before I speak. But if it sounds smooth, that's just the way it's coming across.
Well, I like what you said, because you said, you're on my platform, and you know what, you're new to my platform. So people tend to listen to other people on other people's platform, especially when they don't know them. They'll have friends, family saying the same thing, but it's not resonating with them. It resonates when you hear someone else say the same thing that someone else already said. You just got to hear from a different person. That's just like if you read a book, you absorb that knowledge, right? That topic, that book, that author, right? But maybe your parents are trying to teach you the same thing and you weren't listening. Right. But once you read it and once you resonate with it and you see, okay, you know what? My parents were right. You're not probably going to say your parents are right, but you're going to have the connection. This is what my parents said. And now I'm reading it. So you put it together.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're funny creatures as humans, because the one thing about strangers is we know that the stranger doesn't really want anything from us. It's the people who want something from us. We feel that they have ulterior motives, or they're only saying this to achieve X. When a stranger says it, they don't have a reason to say it and direct it towards you. So it connects to something they've heard before, and sometimes it'll get through a little bit easier, or even in some cases faster.
Why do you think that, though? Because that's even true about myself. Someone will say something and it'll resonate. Mm-hmm. But then I go over here, I accept it more from somebody else than I do the same person that's telling me the same thing.
Two things. I think that ego is huge, because you trying
to say I got a big ego? Yes, I do.
I'm just saying that our ego drives a lot of what we do. So it's a thing that can be viewed in some situations as positive. If you say, like example, you always stay pressed, got your hair done, the makeup's done, that's something that you take pride in. You present yourself in that manner because that's how you want to be viewed and seen as a professional. That's a positive effect of the ego. But that information from someone who may not share the same ideals and principles may not be received as the same, or given the same credit, based upon it being somebody who has a more different presentation, may not take the same effort in their appearance. So the ego says that's not a credible source for whatever reason that we put on that. So that sometimes gets in our way of receiving some of the message, and in some cases, the blessings. Again, one of the things I was studying recently, one of those quotes, and again, I program myself with certain quotes to adjust my mindset where I see fit. And, skin is just armor. At a certain point, it's cool that you got pretty armor, but what's inside of you is most important. God doesn't care what's happening. He cares more about what's happening inside of you than to you. If we focus on what's going on the inside, it's going to come out.
The one thing about the ego, what I learned with ego, is that you have to be able to put your ego at the door. You have to be able to understand that, everybody has an ego. Me, you, any of our viewers, everybody has an ego, right? But are you able to adjust your ego?
There you go.
Are you able to bring it down? Are you able to, that's just like dealing with people on all levels. It doesn't matter what you have, what you do. Can you meet that person on that certain level? And when you can meet that person on a certain level, no matter what they do, what their occupation is, what kind of business they have, once you're able to do that, it would take you a long way, because that's mental clarity.
Sure. And again, the ability to subdue your passions as well, because people feel the need to lead sometimes. And the thing is, just because you feel the need to lead does not mean that people will follow.
Why do you think people always feel the need to lead? and they don't know how to leave?
I think it's based in fear a lot because you want to secure what you want for yourself. And if you can't secure what you want for yourself, you don't know what you're going to, do for your next meal. So I think about people who, for example, trying to get a job. Now, the person who wants the promotion many times will start to try to tell others how to do their job and what to do in order to be seen as a leader. But depending on your mindset, some leaders, they just do the work and just independently go do what they want to do. And then they go and doing all that stuff over there. And then they look over their shoulder and this person's made a lot more progress. And then they're like, tap the other one on the shoulder. That looked pretty good over there. Well, it wasn't somebody had to do this, do that, So that's a different leadership style. There's the people who just go and do it. And there's the people who try to get other people to do it for them.
If there was two things that you could leave the audience with on mental clarity, what would that be?
I would say protect your space. If you're able to protect your space, you're going to increase the likelihood to be clear. And the second thing would be develop a schedule and a practice of how to achieve your mental clarity. We discussed that earlier in the podcast. Your process would be different than my process. In the morning, how you said certain things you listen to in the car. So your process might be different than mine. But if the process achieves mental clarity for you, that's your recipe for mental clarity. So find your recipe. Everybody makes chicken different. You can fry it. Some people saute it. Some people grill it. Some people throw a little bit of green onions and peppers in it. But again, you're trying to make the recipe that tastes best for you so you can have your mental clarity. Don't worry about other people's recipe. Make it your specialty.
I love what you said, because you know what? They come just like the taste. Everybody has different tastes. I mean, don't ask me how I put that together with that, but that's just where my mind went to food. Everybody got different tastes. It's just like people cook differently, but we all put our pants on the same. We all eat out of one mouth, right? We all go to the bathroom the same, right? But if you put everything in order as far as your mental clarity, that's going to take, if you put a system in place, no matter whether they take your advice, take someone else's advice, but you just take all the nuggets that you get from a person that you're comfortable with, right? Receiving that knowledge, that's going to help you get your mental clarity together.
There you go.
There you go. So I appreciate you being on the No Limiter podcast. Big business.
Appreciate you having me.
Big business. My cuz that's 6'9", and everybody wants to know why, you got a lot of tall people in your family. Well, we got our height. We got our height. We got it from our grandmother was taller than our grandfather, right?
Correct. She was almost 6 feet.
Yeah. And so that's where I got my height. I'm almost 6 feet. People want to say I'm 6'1", but I'm not. I'm 5'11" and 3/4, according to my doctor. But
She's 6 feet. No, when people start talking about quarters, like really, like that's changed. We round up over here. We round up. That's it.
I need to just go with me and flow with me. But thanks for watching the No Limiter podcast.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the No Limiter podcast with Regina Eileen Woodard. Remember to subscribe and review the No Limiter podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts and the No Limiter podcast YouTube channel. Every listen and review helps to get this podcast out to as many no limiters like you as possible.